A regular trash can, a few paper towels, and about 60 cents worth of seeds. That's all it took to stop buying microgreens at the grocery store for good. I was spending $4 or $5 a week on those tiny plastic clamshells, watching them wilt by Tuesday, and wondering why fresh greens had to cost so much. Then I tried something called dark sprouting. You pack cheap seeds onto a damp paper towel, close them inside a trash can, and in about a week you've got a full harvest. It doesn't need soil, sunlight, or a garden bed. The trash can just sits in a closet and does the work. If you walked into a garden supply store and asked how to grow microgreens at home, they would hand you a shopping list that starts at $50 or $60. Seed trays with drainage holes, humidity domes, a bag of sterile seed starting mix, maybe a small grow light with a timer. Then come the refills. Fresh soil every round, new trays when the old ones crack, replacement bulbs when the light dims. The setup looks sharp in the photos, and the videos make it seem like a tidy little science project on your kitchen counter. None of it is wrong, exactly. It works. But it is built around the idea that microgreens need fuss, gear, and ongoing purchases to grow. They do not. A microgreen is not a full-grown plant. It is a seedling you harvest young, usually somewhere around 7 to 10 days after planting, when it has pushed up its first set of tiny leaves. At that age, the seedling is still running on the energy stored inside the seed itself. It has not asked the soil for anything yet. It has not used sunlight to build food yet. It is coasting on what it packed before it ever left the seed coat. So when someone hands you a shopping list full of soil and lights for a plant that is not old enough to use either one, they are selling a solution to a problem that does not exist yet. That is the part nobody puts on the label. The reason a dark trash can works as a growing chamber has a name. Botanists call it etiolation. When a seed germinates in darkness, the seedling does something specific. It stretches. It pushes upward fast, reaching for light it cannot find, growing taller and more tender than a seedling that germinated under a lamp. The stem stays pale, almost white or yellow, because without light the plant does not produce chlorophyll, the green pigment that drives photosynthesis. Think of it like a kid in a dark hallway, reaching for the light switch. The kid stretches, stands on tiptoe, extends the arm as far as it will go. That is etiolation. The plant is spending its stored seed energy on height, trying to break through whatever is above it to reach the sun. In nature, that might be a layer of soil or fallen leaves.
This specific
In your
tray,
closet, it is the lid of a trash can. According to Microgreens World, this blackout period simulates natural soil cover conditions and encourages the seedling to develop a stronger root system before it ever sees light. The roots grip the growing surface, the stem gets tall and tender, and the whole seedling stretches into that classic microgreen shape. Long, pale, and ready. Then you give it light. Just a day or two near a window, and the pale shoots turn green as chlorophyll kicks in. According to Biology Insights, light triggers chlorophyll production in the seedling, the same pigment that makes every green plant on Earth green. That brief light finish adds color, a mild grassy flavor, and a bump in nutrients. The darkness gave you height and tenderness. The light gives you color and taste. So the trash can is not some strange workaround. It is the blackout dome, the humidity chamber, and the growing tray all in one for free. And you already own one. This is what you need. The full list. One clean trash can with a lid. It does not need to be new. Any opaque container that blocks light and holds moisture will do. A kitchen trash can, a small bathroom bin, even a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. The point is darkness and a little depth so air can circulate above the seeds. Paper towels. Plain white, unbleached if you can find them, but regular ones from the store work fine. You will layer about 4 to 6 sheets thick on the bottom of the can. If you want to skip paper towels, a piece of burlap, a hemp mat, or even a thin cotton cloth does the same job. The growing surface just needs to hold moisture against the seeds without staying soggy. Seeds. Bulk microgreen seeds cost a fraction of what garden center packets charge. Radish, sunflower, broccoli, pea shoots, and wheatgrass are all strong choices for beginners. You need roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons of small seeds like radish or broccoli per batch in a standard trash can, so one bag lasts months. A pound of radish microgreen seeds from a bulk supplier runs just a few dollars, and a single pound plants dozens of batches. A spray bottle. Any clean spray bottle set to a fine mist. That is the whole list. Trash can, paper towels, seeds, spray bottle. You skip the soil, the grow lights, the humidity dome, the timer, and every replacement part the garden store wants to sell you. Now let me walk you through the setup, step by step, the way you would do it in your kitchen on a Tuesday evening. Step 1. Soak your seeds. Pour your chosen seeds into a jar or a cup and cover them with room temperature water. Let them sit roughly 8 to 12 hours or overnight. This softens the seed coat and tells the embryo inside that water is present and it is time to wake up. Larger seeds like sunflower and pea shoots benefit the most from soaking. Tiny seeds like broccoli and radish can skip the soak if you prefer, but even a few hours in water still helps them along. Step 2. Prepare the growing surface. Take your trash can and make sure it is clean inside. Lay 4 to 6 sheets of paper towel flat on the bottom, overlapping to cover the entire surface without gaps. Then mist the paper towels with your spray bottle until they are evenly damp. Wet enough to cling to the bottom, but not puddle. You should not see standing water anywhere. If you squeeze a corner and water runs out, you have too much. Blot the extra with a dry towel. Step 3. Spread the seeds. Drain your soaked seeds and scatter them evenly across the damp paper towel. You want a single layer, dense enough that seeds sit close together, almost touching, but not piled on top of each other. Think of it like spreading sesame seeds across the top of a bread roll. Even coverage, no big bare patches, no thick clumps. Seed density matters more than you might expect. Too thin and you get sparse, scraggly shoots that fall over because each seedling has nothing to lean against. Too thick and the seeds compete for moisture, overheat, and invite mold. A good rule of thumb for small seeds like radish or broccoli is roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons per batch in a can about 10 to 12 inches across. For larger seeds like sunflower or pea, use enough to cover the surface in a single snug layer. Step 4. Mist the seeds one more time gently so they are sitting on a damp surface and have a light film of moisture on top. Do not flood them. Step 5. Close the lid and set the trash can in a closet, a pantry, under the kitchen counter, or anywhere out of direct light where the temperature stays comfortable. Room temperature is fine. You are not building a greenhouse. You are building a dark, quiet, humid little cave, and your house already has the right conditions. Step 6. Mist daily. Once a day, open the lid, give the paper towels and seeds a light misting, and close it again. That is the entire daily commitment. Open, mist, close. About 30 seconds of your time. This is what happens inside the can day by day. Day 1 and 2. Not much visible change. The seeds are absorbing moisture and waking up. You might notice the tiniest white bumps where the seed coat is starting to crack, especially on seeds that were soaked overnight. Keep misting. Day 3 and 4. Little white roots begin threading down into the paper towel, anchoring the seedlings in place. The first shoots push upward, pale and thin, like tiny white threads reaching toward a ceiling they will never touch. Etiolation is doing its job. The stems are stretching hard, growing tall and tender in the darkness. Day 5 and 6. The shoots are noticeably taller now, somewhere around 2 to 3 inches depending on the variety. Radish microgreens are fast growers. Sunflower and pea take a little longer to hit their stride. The stems are still pale, and the first tiny leaves are folded tight at the top like little fists waiting to open. The inside of the trash can smells clean and green, like fresh sprouts at a farmer's market. Day 7 or 8. Time for the light finish. Take the lid off and move the trash can near a window where it will get indirect daylight for a day or two. Not blazing direct sun, just bright ambient light from across the room. Within hours, you will watch those pale shoots start turning green as chlorophyll floods into the leaves. The tiny fists unfurl into proper little leaves. Your microgreens are going through the same transformation that every seedling on Earth goes through when it first meets sunlight, just in fast forward on your kitchen counter. If you are finding this useful and you want more ways to grow your own food for almost nothing, stick around, because that is all this channel covers. After 1 to 2 days of light, your microgreens are ready to harvest. They should stand roughly 2 to 4 inches tall, with small bright green leaves at the top and pale, tender stems below. This is the moment. Wait much longer, and they start getting leggy and bitter, as they burn through the last of their stored seed energy. Grab a clean pair of kitchen scissors. Hold a clump of microgreens gently in one hand and cut them right at the base just above the paper towel surface. Let them fall into a clean bowl. Work your way across the whole surface of the can. Do not pull them up by the roots. Cutting keeps the roots and paper towel behind, giving you clean greens with no debris to pick through. Rinse them gently under cool water in a colander or a fine mesh strainer. Let them drain, pat them dry with a clean towel, and they are ready to eat. Toss them on a sandwich, a salad, a bowl of soup, scrambled eggs, or anything you want a burst of fresh green on top of. They taste alive in a way that a plastic clamshell from the store never does, because they were growing 10 minutes ago. If you have more than you can eat in one sitting, spread them loosely on a dry paper towel inside an open container in the refrigerator. They keep for roughly 3 to 5 days, which is longer than most store-bought packages last once you crack open the plastic. That was your first batch. And if it went well, you are probably already thinking about the next one. I will show you how to set up a rolling supply in a minute. First, the 3 things that go wrong with this method, and how to fix them before they ruin a batch. The first problem is mold. If you see fuzzy white or gray patches on the paper towel or on the seeds themselves, that is mold, and it means there is too much moisture and not enough airflow. Do not panic. Mold is the single most common issue with any indoor sprouting method, and it has simple fixes. Use fewer layers of paper towel next time. Make sure you are misting, not pouring. Leave the trash can lid very slightly cracked, just enough to let a breath of air circulate without letting light flood in. A chopstick propped under the lid edge works perfectly for that. And make sure your seeds are spread in a single layer without thick clumps, because piled up seeds trap moisture between them, and that is exactly where mold takes hold. The second problem is overwatering. If the paper towel looks soggy, if there is standing water pooling in the bottom of the can, or if the seeds smell sour instead of fresh, you gave them too much water. The paper towel should feel like a wrung-out sponge, damp to the touch but never dripping. If you already overwatered a batch, tip the can gently to drain the excess, blot the surface with a dry towel, and leave the lid cracked for a few hours to let things dry down. Next time, count your sprays. 3 or 4 passes with the mister is usually plenty. The third problem is thin, leggy sprouts that collapse sideways. This usually means not enough seeds on the surface. When the planting is too sparse, each seedling has nothing to lean against, so it flops over under its own weight. Microgreens grow best when they support each other, shoulder to shoulder, like a crowd at a concert holding each other upright. The fix is denser seeding next time. That snug, even layer is what gives you a thick mat you can harvest in clean clumps instead of chasing individual sprouts around the bottom of the can. Once you have one solid batch under your belt, scaling up is simple, and the trash can makes it even simpler. Stagger your planting dates. Start a new batch every 3 or 4 days instead of waiting for the first one to finish. By the time your first batch is ready to harvest, the second is halfway through its dark phase, and the third is just getting started. Within a couple of weeks, you have a rolling harvest. Fresh microgreens coming off the line every few days with no gap and no trip to the store. If you want even more from one can, stack your growing surfaces. Cut a piece of cardboard to fit inside the can and rest it on a couple of small jars or cans laid on their sides as supports. Lay fresh damp paper towels on the cardboard shelf, seed it the same way, and now you have 2 batches growing in one can with the same daily misting routine. The bottom batch stays in full darkness, while the top one gets its mist first when you open the lid. Try different seeds as you go. Radish microgreens are peppery and fast, ready in roughly 7 days. Sunflower microgreens are crunchy, nutty, and sturdy enough to hold up on a sandwich. Pea shoots taste like spring and grow tall enough to make a real pile on a plate. Broccoli microgreens are mild and delicate, with a soft green flavor that disappears into almost anything. Wheatgrass grows fast and juices well if you have a blender. Rotate through them and you stop eating the same green every week, which is something the store can never offer at this price. Now the cost, side by side. Pick up a package of microgreens at the grocery store, and you are looking at somewhere around $4 to $8 for a few ounces, depending on the variety and where you shop. According to Gardenary, store-bought microgreens can cost up to 10 times more per ounce than homegrown. If you bought a package a week at $5, that adds up to roughly $260 a year, on tiny greens that start wilting the day you open them. Compare that to the trash can method. A 1-pound bag of bulk radish seeds costs just a few dollars from an online supplier. 1 pound contains enough seed for dozens of batches. Each batch uses roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons of seed and a few sheets of paper towel you already have at home. The per batch cost, once you own the trash can and spray bottle, comes down to a matter of cents. Maybe 10 cents, maybe 30, depending on the seed variety. That is not a misprint. So you are looking at a few dollars of seeds per year for the same volume of greens that would have cost you well over $200 at the store. The trash can was free because you already had it. The paper towels came off the roll in your kitchen. The spray bottle was under the sink. The only ongoing cost is the seeds, and bought in bulk they are close to free. That is the math the store does not put on the shelf tag. Every time you close that trash can lid and walk away, you are choosing not to depend on a supply chain for something your kitchen can produce on its own. You are not waiting for a truck to deliver greens that were cut days ago in another state, packed in plastic, and priced like they contain something rare. You are growing them in a closet, in the dark, in a container you were going to throw things away in. The same can that held last week's junk mail is now producing food on your counter. There is a quiet kind of satisfaction in pulling the lid off on day 7 and seeing that dense mat of pale shoots, knowing that in a day or two they will be green and ready, and sitting on top of your eggs while the grocery store version sits on the shelf getting older. Your kitchen, your greens, your terms. If that is the kind of gardening that makes sense to you, the kind where you spend almost nothing and eat better than the store can offer, you will feel right at home on this channel. Tell me in the comments what seed you are going to try first, radish, sunflower, pea, or broccoli, and I will know what recipe to bring you next.